Hello, everyone, and a very warm welcome to ChaiNet, the agentic commerce podcast exploring how brands are building in an AI world. I'm your host, Rachit Macken. Most people, when they find comfort, they tend to stay there. Today's guest found comfort twice and walked away from it both the times. First time, he had a stable career in Canada, a good salary, a life most people take years to build and would never give up. He gave it up, moved back to India without any industry experience, without any contacts, no plan, and just a problem that he spotted and thought that he can change it. The second time was even harder. He'd built something, a brand over 20, with over 20 lakh customers, 40% repurchase rate, zero external funding. And then he chose to tear down that identity and rebuild it from scratch, transitioning the entire company into a science backed nutraceutical brand. Most people avoid even one. He's made both, and he's here to talk about. So let's welcome Ayush Aggarwal, founder and CEO of Rasayanam.
Hi,
Hi, Ayush. How are you?
I am doing well. How are you?
I am doing well. Thank you so much for giving us your time today. So, Ayush, let's get down to the session. You had, as I said, you had a stable job, you had good money, you had a settled life. What happened? Why did you tear it all down and come back to India?
Yeah, that time I mean, Rasayanam sort of started as a company. So I just saw a problem there, and I thought I'll have to sort of see. And I was just curious. As a kid, I was always curious. I'm still very
Right.
curious, right? So I just saw a problem there that the products in Canada were of better quality, right? So I thought I was I wondered that how could that be possible that Ayurveda sort of originated from India and how could the product quality be there better? So I thought
Mhm.
that let's start off dig in, and that is how the journey began.
Great. So you saw Indian products in Canada and you were like, okay, these are better quality, but in India, we're not getting the same quality.
Not Indian products, Ayurvedic products. That was
Ayurvedic products. Got it. Got it. Great. And then when you decided that, okay, you want to come back and start something, what was the most common reaction around around your friends and family?
I'll tell you. So our first product was Shilajit, right?
Right.
And I had all the knowledge of Ayurveda. Honestly, I had was from Canada, not from India, because I went there at the age of 18. I did
Right.
for my thing, and then I got into fitness, and I started, using Shilajit myself, and that is how I got knew about Shilajit, right? And then I came to India for my vacation, and I found that in India it's still the legacy brands that are playing. The price is much more cheaper, but there is no really trust in there. People are only buying because the product was cheaper. So that's the insight I got. There was no heavy metal testing there. There was no sort of talking about how much folic acid is there. So it was just that every sheet acid was the same. People were just buying which was the cheaper option there, right? So that is the insight I got. And hence I thought key people in India would also be willing. There would be some at least audience. I didn't have, of course, the money to put in any research to show that what percentage of the people are willing to pay amount this much. But I just
Right.
had an intuition that there'll be some portion, I don't know, 5 people or 5 lakh people would be willing to spend more for a better quality product that is tested for heavy metals, the brand that knows what is fulvic acid, what benefits you can get. And
Mm.
hence, to serve those customers, I got into it. And Shilaji in India at that time I realized was such a big taboo. And I realized my dad, like he told everyone he moved to India and he's starting something, but he was too afraid to even tell his friends that the first product was Shilaji, that my son is selling Shilaji, right? And that is how the journey was.
Yeah, I think, and this was back in 2020, right?
November 2020 is when I moved
2020. You moved back.
to India.
Right, right. So from the idea to actually launching the product, how was that journey? Like how did you understand how to source, how to build, how to package? Like how did that journey
So I talked to a few BMS doctors while that idea came to me because I knew that I need at least someone who has that intellectual academic background in Ayurveda, number one, but also who has that someone who wants to build something, right? Because a lot
right,
of time, even when you have education, you get the preconceived notion कि ऐसा ही होता है. So I didn't want anyone. I wanted person who is a rebellious academic person, right? So that took sort of 3, 4 months, and then finally we collaborated with one doctor. Uh, at that time, that equity was not worth anything. But yeah, so we got him, and he just really liked the vision, the purpose that we were doing, and hence he got on board. And that is how we started looking
Mm,
for vendors, and you know, explored from all over country, and then finally we found a vendor from Nepal that
mm,
was making the product that also aligned with what our vision was. Because that is the biggest, I think, problem initially. Everyone thinks you are mad with what you are building. Like no one would believe it, right? So so you're always selling. You're selling it to your family, as I said. You're selling that idea
right.
to to vendors. You are selling that idea to your partners or employees. So you're always in the selling mode. And you need to really have strong conviction in your purpose. Unless you do that, then it becomes very hard for people to believe.
Absolutely. Uh, And yeah, you're right. Like as a founder, we often underestimate how much sales we'll have to do. Right? We
Oh,
always
yeah.
think that okay, if we can build the right product, and people would come. But yeah, but the amount of selling it takes, and you're right, not just to customers, right? Even to your family, even to your vendors, to everyone, and practically, whoever
Right
you're
on.
collaborating with. Right. So in your case, like once you had the product, you had the Shilajit, and you've done the research, everything is ready. What did the first day of business look like? Where did you sell first? How were the sales?
So we started on Amazon. We got one person to do the packing,
Right,
and along with him, we packaged and we launched on Amazon. Just got the product. I mean, of course, we didn't get it any professional photograph. We did it ourselves in the basement of my house. We clicked some pictures.
right,
I think, yeah, Canva is what we use to add some text. What is the benefit? So created
right.
2 or 4 slides, added it on Amazon, and first day, I mean, the hypothesis did come true. So one thing we did differently also was that we were also sending test report with the product, as that
Hmm.
was the whole
Right.
mission was to become a transparent and a brand that is. We were sending heavy metal test report. And day one, people actually recognize it. There was no reviews. Like people today talk about that you cannot sell on Amazon without reviews. You have to run ads.
Hmm.
Need to have its catalog. You need to get SEO done. There's so many variables. I didn't know any of it because I didn't come from that background. All I
Right.
saw was one problem. I wanted to solve that. And also, I didn't solve it for making money because I already had a job that time. So,
Hmm.
anyways, I got into it, and first day sales were 20,000 rupees. I was in Canada that time. I woke up in the morning, and I saw that Amazon dashboard, and I was like, "Is this really true? Like, how can it be so easy?"
Right.
So, and that is what that because that validation I got so early in terms of the.
Correct. And how do you think that happened? Like, why was there like there was demand for a product and people were not looking, like people were looking for it, but there were no companies who were doing it, or was it a good launch strategy? Like now, if you look back, that the initial success, what do you give credit to for that initial success?
Initial success, I mean, launch though I don't know how to launch a project. I didn't know at that time. So, but the whole hypothesis that we are launching a much more potent form, which was resin. We were sending it
Right.
with a scoop. We were, giving it in a more premiumized way. We were sending a heavy
Hmm.
metal report with the product. We were, charging a premium, but we were also giving you a quantity which would last you for about 2 months.
Hmm.
Consumers understood that. So that target of the audience that I wanted to cater, that which I wasn't sure how much of them were that.
Right.
20 of those bought the first day, right? So that
Wow.
is what happened.
Very interesting. And when you started, did you feel like that you know what you're doing?
Still don't know what I'm doing. So
So when did you started feeling at least a little that okay, now this is my game. Now I would call myself a B2C founder. At
so
what
after
point?
yeah, so that was I was still in Canada, by the way, when I launched right Rasayanam. I was still
Right.
going back and forth. It took me 60 days, and I'll tell you what changed during the 60 days, where I
Hmm.
really started believing was one, the sales were growing, right? So 20, 25,000. They were growing not very rapidly, but yeah, they were growing. Uh, every day by 1,000, 2,000 rupees.
Right.
That was one. But the other two things which were much more important to me. After 60 days, I called them. That time Amazon used to give the customers the number, phone number of the customers, right? So I called a lot of those customers,
Hmm.
and I realized a lot of them were actually, placing repeat orders. They were giving it to their family because I was not spending a lot on advertisement. So I had
Hmm.
no idea why. Is it because are there too many people coming every day? Is it because of that? So
Right.
when I talked to the consumers, I realized there were a lot of repeat people who were coming to purchase the product, and they were really happy with the product,
Right.
right? So that was that, and also the customer feedback was so good, and they were giving that word of mouth and everything. That is when I realized that okay, there is something in there. I don't know how till what point we'll be able to scale, but it seems like I can at least make a
Hmm.
living out of it. Maybe not today.
Right.
60 days I was like I could quit my job, but I was sleeping 4 hours a day sort of. I had a full time
Right.
job that time, very demanding job. So I was at
Correct.
home.
2020 was peak COVID. Yes.
Hence I was able to at least give that time to the business.
Hmm. Right.
So that was like a book, and then my parents were like, "ठीक है, you come back."
Hmm. Very interesting. And matlab, during the first year जब आपने start करा and like of course the first 2 months you were managing work and this and then you came back and then you started to scale up. Now if you look back that first year, what do you think was the hardest part which which you now feel that okay that was that was a very difficult phase during that 1 year.
I think during that time, first 60 days, if I talk about, was a lot of coordination within India.
Right,
So because you're launching the product for the first time, the idea is not validated, and the vendor you don't know how reliable the vendor is, right? So that
right.
constant is asking questions to the vendor. Also, they're not used to doing that. Then they were not used to it.
Hmm.
Then said that every batch will get heavy metal tested. They were like, and I told them, अगर वो pass नहीं होता, these are the numbers, then you will have to accept it back. They were
Right.
not used to that. So aligning your vendors was number one, the biggest thing. But I think if you vendor the right person who somewhat believes in the purpose, maybe their habits are different, but
Hmm.
if they somewhat they'll eventually make peace with it.
Hmm.
So that was one challenge that I had. Second challenge after coming to India was just being a single founder, the amount of things that you have to manage. Right.
Right.
I was very passionate about the mission, right? I was never passionate about creating invoices. I was never passionate about managing supply chain, right? But you have to do all of that. You have to also
Correct.
do one that you don't like, and you don't just have to do it. You also have to learn continuously, like every
Of
day.
course.
Yeah, you have to be learning, right? So that was, I think, challenge.
Right. Doing the things like you of course start because of passion. But as a founder, you're right, you have to do so many things which you never thought and you would be absolutely not passionate about. But yeah, but those who end up doing that with equal or equal determination and equal conviction because it ultimately boils down to your mission. Yeah, I think that's what differentiates between successful founders and not. Yeah, and then also Ayush, you did a very interesting, I would say, rebranding in the middle, right? Like when and I think even my team got a little confused about that in the beginning. So earlier you were positioning as a Ayurvedic brand, and now you are positioned as a nutraceutical brand. And a science-backed nutraceutical brand. That's what you're trying to call. Like, why why did you do the rebranding and like the pivot of the brand? And, there was there like what was the thought behind that?
So at one point, we realized that because Ayurveda is still a part of nutraceutical, right? We're still having those
Correct.
stuff.
Yes.
Right? We wanted to expand and we didn't want to restrict ourselves in the ways that when you talk about Ayurveda, everything has to be natural, all right? All the products has to
Hmm.
be natural. And we realized that sometimes, number one, there's not a lot of research in all the natural ingredients out there. So right, so and eventually the goal of a customer is that they are coming to solve a problem, right? If they are not able to solve that problem, then as a brand we are also not doing justice to them.
Right.
Right? We wanted that we are only adding quantities and ingredients which have a certain therapeutic value to it to them.
Hmm.
The finding those research was limited. Number one was that. Number two, we also realized that there are a lot of ingredients which cannot at all be made into natural compounds, like
Hmm.
magnesium.
Right.
But your body really needs it. So what do we do about that? Because
Hmm.
that is also a problem that we have to solve. I mean,
Right.
eventually, the goal was to provide supplements to the people that they are not able to fulfill through their regular food.
Right.
So, and a lot of those supplements that are beneficial to the body and does not
Hmm.
have side effects. But because they are just not natural, we were not able to include that in the portfolio. Hence, we made that pivot. But our main pillars that were still there are still there, right? We are still a
Hmm.
brand that is focused to the long-term health of the people. We don't believe in transformations. We believe in progress over time with some clean signs of progress over close time because people are paying money. They also cannot just wait. Ki, I'll see the results after 1 year. No, we don't believe that. Right?
Right.
But we also believe ki just like Ayurveda, people believe Ayurveda because there is no side effects to it. So we hold that value still with us. That all our ingredients will make sure they are very tested.
Correct.
Health.
Yeah. And yeah, you're right. Like, like Ayurveda, a lot of things might not fall under Ayurveda, but they're still in the similar, like in the similar domain, I would say, of nutraceuticals. Yeah, I think so. I would say this was not rather than a brand pivot, this was more of a expansion of your categories, and that's why you repositioned the branding as well. Yeah, fair. I think yeah, that's pretty cool. You have you've not raised outside money, if I'm not wrong, right? You've not raised funding till now.
Yeah, we are a completely bootstrap business.
Hmm. Wow. And is there a specific reason you've not done that? Like, do you plan to do that in the future, or you're waiting for like some some specific KPIs to reach, and then you plan to raise funding, or is it like a psychology that no, I want to build this on my own?
No, it's not that I will never raise it, or I've never thought about raising also, to be frank. But I also always have this belief that money can make the problems easier, but they can never get the problems go away. Eventually,
Hmm.
as a founder, as your team, you only have to solve those problems. Maybe
Right.
money can get you better people, they can get you in a better room.
Correct. Because of
It
right.
will be a byproduct. The first thing will be the expertise and the mindset they sort of bring, which which maybe complement mine. Because as a founder,
Right.
as a team,
Correct.
we also don't have all the specialization, all the expertise. So
Correct.
someone maybe as a team player, as a team player to us, or maybe an investor, you're always looking out who maybe can complement the current skill set of the team.
Hmm. Fair. And yeah, like I think that's fair. You, as long as if you don't, if there's no urgent need for, if you're not burning more than you're earning, and if you're decently profitable, or even like reaching break even and then slowly growing, there's no harm in growing slowly and steadily, right? Unless and you find someone who relates with the with the team, and with your values. I think that's very important, because yeah, dumb money is worse than no money. 100%. And Ayush, if you had to give some advice to new founders who are now starting out in the T2C space, what would be your advice in the last in the last 5 years, 4 to 5 years? What have you learned which earlier you would not have known because you were not part of the industry?
I think number one is you need to put your energy in the right directions. There are so many variables in business,
Hmm.
right? You need to have that clarity. What is my P0 that I want to fix today? Too many people, I think, get into the technicals of ads, Google, Meta, before really knowing who their actual customer is,
Right.
right? So to really understanding the customer before you get into technicals of the features of the product, which most of the time really don't matter, right?
Hmm.
If the product is not really solving a customer pain point, it doesn't matter if you change the color of it or do something. If the
Hmm.
customer doesn't want it, then it's of no use. It doesn't matter you and me what we want. It always matters what the customer wants, right? So that features or whatever needs is there to solve a customer pain point. So
Hmm.
always talk to your customer. For early founders, that should be the number one thing. Talk to your customers every day. That should be number one. And
Right.
yeah, and number two should be product and repeat
Hmm.
purchase. Focus on that because your cost of acquisition will keep on going high. There is no
Hmm.
controlling. Some people put too much effort into controlling their acquisition cost, which I believe, I mean, the competition is
Right.
still gonna increase. When we launched Shilaji, there were two players in Shilaji. Today, Shilaji itself is a category on Amazon.
Correct.
So,
Right.
and that will even continue happening, and we embrace that. But as brands, having that laser focus as entrepreneurs, as founders is very.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's solid, and that's fair. You need to understand what is your P0, and from what you're also saying, that I think that P0 is usually figure out what customer wants, right? Figure out what, why are they, if they're coming back, why are they coming back? If they're not coming back, why are they not coming back? And then try to fix that thing rather than just vanity metrics and packaging and branding and lights and all of that. Yeah, yeah, that's very true. Great, Ayush. This is a very lovely conversation. These days, as you see, you've started 4 years back, and it's been, last 4 years have been tremendous in terms of how AI is now impacting how we run businesses, right? In your case, like, do you think like AI has changed the way you do your daily business in the last 2 to 3 years, from the day you started to today? And if yes, then what, like, or maybe like if you can give us some examples of what, where has have you implemented any AI workflow or something in your case which has helped you?
So we started about, just to correct, we started 5.5 years ago, and in the last 1.5 years is when we started using AI. And I think we pretty much use AI in everything. I mean, the SOP creation, it helps really a lot. I mean, really automates the whole SOP creation. Even in creating the formulations, it helps. Because it has so much research in here. We don't use ChatGPT or anything. We use more patented products which have access to more research, but that also really helps trying to really find at what clinical dosage you can do this. So it helps really give the direction in the formulation. Other than that, in terms of marketing comms and copywriting and designing, so especially it does a tremendously well job.
Hmm. Right. Yeah, I think that's solid. I think it's there are tools like that. Would you want to recommend some tools for our listeners, that okay, these are the tools which are worth trying out?
So I personally use Claude a lot, but my
Hmm.
team, like the designers and everyone, have their various tools, which
Right.
I am not able
Correct.
to recall the name right now. But I personally use
Right.
Claude.
Correct. Yeah, same. I think even I love, Claude knows everything what I'm doing, and I think it's really, in the recent times, it's really won over ChatGPT, and that there are a lot of
Yeah.
things which you get to do in Claude. Great, Ayush. I think this has been a lovely conversation. And, a lot of people spend their whole life avoiding doing the hard thing. And, a lot of people see problems, do not face them head on. You saw something missing, you've built around it. And I love what you've done till now, and we'll be following your journey. For all our listeners, that is Ayush Aggarwal. He's the CEO and founder of Rasayanam. They're a nutraceutical brand doing some amazing products. You can check their products out at rasayanam.in. They have a huge range of different nutraceutical products. Yeah, Ayush, thank you for your time. Thank you for being on this
Okay,
podcast.
thank you for having me today. It's a lovely conversation.
Same. And I also really enjoyed it. Lovely story, and all the best.
Thank you.